My daughter won first chair in orchestra after practicing for months. She was so proud. But the morning after her first concert, her violin was snapped in half, left on our porch. A note read, "Spare us the noise, Mozart." I checked our cameras. Nothing. But then I noticed her best friend's bike in the neighbor's driveway. At midnight. When we asked her about it, she cried. "He told me you were arrogant. That I should teach you a lesson." I didn't know what hurt worse. The sabotage or the betrayal from inside our circle. I guess this story really started 6 months ago, though it feels like a lifetime. My daughter Shelby had poured everything she had into her violin. Every afternoon, every night, weekends too. When other kids were hanging out, she was practicing. Sometimes she'd come home from school crying because she felt like she wasn't good enough. But she never gave up. When her orchestra announced auditions for first chair, Shelby almost didn't try out. She didn't think she had a chance. The other kids had private lessons, fancy instruments. We don't have that kind of money. Her violin was a used one I picked up from a shop in Dayton. It wasn't flashy, but it sang when Shelby played it. She worked harder than ever. Late nights, calloused fingers, sometimes she'd fall asleep in the living room with her bow still in her hand. And when the results came in, she got it. First chair. She looked at me with these wide, disbelieving eyes. Like she needed me to tell her it was real. We celebrated. Her concert was beautiful. She didn't miss a single note. When it ended, her friends, her teachers, even parents we didn't know came up to congratulate her. I could see her standing taller that night. Like she finally believed in herself. Her best friend Mia was with us too. She cheered the loudest. Hugged Shelby so tight I thought they'd both fall over. We went for ice cream afterward. Talked about how far Shelby had come. About all the things she could do now. I saw Mia sitting quietly a few times, looking down at her phone. I thought maybe she was just tired. I didn't think anything of it. That was my mistake. The next morning started like any other. I got up early to grab the newspaper before making coffee. Opened the front door. And there it was. Shelby's violin. Smashed. Splintered. The strings looked like someone had yanked them out by hand. A note was taped to it, written with a thick black marker. "Spare us the noise, Mozart." At first, I thought my brain was playing tricks on me. I just stood there, holding the pieces. Then Shelby came to the door. She screamed. Fell onto the porch. She was cradling the broken violin like it was a dead pet. Sobbing so hard, she couldn't breathe. I pulled her inside, held her as she shook. My wife, Rachel, called the police, but deep down I knew they wouldn't be able to fix this. How could they? They could file a report, but unless we had evidence, nothing would happen. Still, I checked our security cameras anyway, over and over. No faces, no motion, nothing. Like they knew exactly where the cameras were aimed. But one thing caught my eye. Around midnight, in the background of a wide-angle shot, I saw it. A flash of color near the side of our neighbor's house. It was a bike. Bright pink frame. Neon green handles. Mia's bike. At midnight. At Mr. Dwyer's house. I froze. Rewound the footage. Watched it again. Same thing. Mia's bike, parked by the back fence. Like she was sneaking around. My stomach twisted. I didn't want to believe it. I showed Rachel. Her face went pale. We asked Shelby about it. Gently at first. But when she realized we already knew, she broke down completely. Through choking sobs, Shelby told us everything. Mia had been acting weird ever since Shelby won first chair. Distant. Short-tempered. But Shelby never thought it was anything serious. Until a few nights before the concert, when Mia came over, angry for no reason. Said Shelby was getting a big head. Said Shelby thought she was better than everyone. Shelby didn't understand it. Thought it was just stress. But then Mia said something else. She said Mr. Dwyer told her that our family was full of ourselves. that Shelby needed to be taken down a peg. Shelby didn't even know what that meant. But Mia did. The night after the concert, Mia snuck out of her house, rode her bike to Mr. Dwyer's place. They met behind the fence, where the cameras couldn't see. And together, they smashed Shelby's violin. The same violin she had poured years of her life into. And left it on our porch like garbage. When Shelby finished telling us, she collapsed into my arms, shaking. I held her, kissed the top of her head, promised her that they would never get away with it. I meant every word. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to ruin them. Quietly. Completely. They thought they broke something. I was going to show them what real damage looked like. I spent that whole night awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking, planning. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Shelby's face when she found that broken violin. I heard her crying. I remembered all the late nights she spent practicing, the sacrifices she made, the way she finally smiled on that stage, and how they crushed it. This wasn't just about the violin. It was about taking away something pure, something she built with her own hands. And they thought they could get away with it. The next morning, while Shelby stayed home from school, too broken to face anyone, I went into action. First stop was the school. I made sure to ask for a private meeting with the principal, Mrs. Hargrove. She was an old-school woman, sharp as a tack. I laid it all out carefully. I didn't accuse anyone directly. I just said there had been an incident involving Shelby's property, and that I had reason to believe a student might have been involved, with the encouragement of an adult. Mrs. Hargrove's face turned stone cold when I said that. If you have evidence, I need to see it. I showed her the security footage. The blurry shot of Mia's bike behind Mr. Dwyer's house at midnight. She didn't say much, but I saw the muscles in her jaw tighten. "I'll handle it," she said. And I believed her. I knew Mia would be called in for questioning. That alone would start to crack things open. But that was just step one. Step two was Mr. Dwyer. I didn't want to confront him directly. That would just give him a chance to lie, to cover his tracks. No, I needed to make sure everyone saw who he really was. That afternoon, I made a few calls. To the local homeowners association, to the city code enforcement office, to the county health inspector. Mr. Dwyer thought he was untouchable. He kept his lawn perfect, his house spotless. But his little backyard shed? Full of junk, leaking oil into the soil. His dog? Barking constantly with no license. I filed every complaint I could. I sent in every photo I had. I made sure his life would be inspected down to the last blade of grass. By the end of the week, he had 3 citations nailed to his door and a notice to appear before the HOA board. That wasn't enough, though. Not yet. The next twist came faster than I thought. It was a Friday afternoon when Shelby got a text from Mia. Short, shaky. "I'm sorry. I didn't know he would lie about you. Please don't hate me." Shelby didn't answer. She just showed me the text, silent, tears in her eyes. Rachel and I debated what to do. I didn't trust Mia. Not anymore. But I saw something in that text, fear. Later that night, Mia's mom showed up at our door. I'll never forget the look on her face. Embarrassed. Angry. Desperate. She apologized, over and over. Said she had no idea what had happened until the school called her in. Said Mia confessed everything. Mr. Dwyer had been bad-mouthing us to Mia for months. Telling her Shelby thought she was better than her. That our family looked down on everyone else. It was poison. Fed slowly, deliberately. And Mia, a scared, insecure kid, believed it. Mr. Dwyer used her like a weapon. And now she was paying the price. Suspension. Probation. No school orchestra privileges for the rest of the year. But Mr. Dwyer? He still hadn't faced real consequences. Not yet. That's when I decided it was time for the next move. Something that would leave a permanent mark. Not illegal. Not violent. but unforgettable. The next move started with something simple: flyers. I printed about 100 of them. Plain white paper, big black letters. It said, "Warning, Mr. Dwyer encourages minors to vandalize private property. Think twice before trusting him with your children or your community." No fancy words. No accusations he could sue me for. Just the truth, plain and ugly. That weekend, I handed them out. Taped them to community bulletin boards. Slipped them under windshield wipers at the grocery store. Left a stack at the library. Even mailed a few to houses around the neighborhood. I knew word would spread. Fast. It didn't take long. By Monday, Mr. Dwyer's perfect little world was crumbling. People were avoiding him. Neighbors crossed the street when he came out to mow the lawn. Parents whispered behind his back at the school pickup line. Even the cashier at the gas station barely looked at him. He tried to fight it at first. Complained to the HOA. Demanded the school clear his name. But nobody wanted to hear it. Because while he was busy filing complaints, the truth leaked out. Turns out, this wasn't the first time Mr. Dwyer had stirred up trouble. Other parents came forward quietly at first. Complaints about him yelling at kids walking home from school. Accusing them of ruining the neighborhood. Trying to ban teens from riding bikes down his street. Nothing criminal. Nothing official. But when you add it all up, it painted a picture of a bitter man who hated anything that made him feel small or out of control. And now, for once, he wasn't the one in control. Meanwhile, Mia's family moved her to another school. They said it was for a fresh start, but everyone knew the real reason. Mia couldn't walk down the hall without someone whispering behind her back. She lost her friends, her spot in the music program, her reputation. Shelby? She stayed quiet through all of it, focused on healing, focused on practicing with the cheap, loaner violin the school gave her. But she wasn't the same. She was harder now. A little colder. I hated that they stole that part of her. And I wasn't done yet. Because when I went to a city council meeting to push a little harder on the complaints against Dwyer, I noticed something. He was up for a minor position, a volunteer spot on the Parks and Recreation Board. A silly thing, really. But to him, it mattered. It was status. It was respect. And I made sure he didn't get it. I stood up during the public comment section. Calm, polite. And I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. I'm concerned about placing someone on the Parks and Recreation Board who has encouraged vandalism by minors and has a history of harassing neighborhood children. Gasps. Whispers. Dwyer turned beet red. Tried to shout over me. The council president banged her gavel until he shut up. They tabled his appointment. It never came up again. It wasn't prison. It wasn't violence. But it was something he would feel every single day he woke up in that house. Knowing everyone saw him for what he was. Knowing no one respected him. And Shelby? Shelby started to smile again. Not all at once. Not like before. But piece by piece. It would take time. But it was happening. And then, just when I thought it was over, something unexpected happened. Shelby came home from school with a note in her hand. A handwritten note. From Mr. Dwyer. I opened it carefully. It said, I made mistakes. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Short. No excuses. No threats. But it was signed. In shaky handwriting. Shelby asked me what we should do. I stared at that piece of paper for a long time. And, for the first time in months, I smiled. Because now we were the ones in control. I sat at the kitchen table with that apology note in front of me. It didn't sit right. You don't smash a child's dreams and then fix it with a few scribbled words. That wasn't enough. Not after what he did to Shelby. Not after what he made Mia do. Not after he made my daughter feel small and alone. I told Shelby we would think about it. But inside, I already knew. I wasn't interested in forgiveness. I was interested in making sure he never forgot what he did. That weekend, the neighborhood had a block party. It was something the HOA did every year, a big deal with food trucks, music, games for the kids. Everyone would be there, including Mr. Dwyer. Rachel wasn't thrilled about what I planned next. She said maybe it was time to move on, to let it die. But I couldn't. I needed closure. Real closure. And so did Shelby. So that Saturday, Shelby and I showed up at the party. Shelby had her loner violin, scratched up, battered, tucked under her arm. People stared when they saw us coming. I saw Mr. Dwyer too, standing stiff by the hot dog stand, pretending he didn't see us. I walked Shelby up onto the little makeshift stage they had set up for announcements. I tapped the microphone. "Excuse me, everyone. I'd like to say something." The crowd quieted. I nodded to Shelby. She lifted her violin. And she played. Not with the perfect precision she used to have, not yet, but with something better. With fire. With soul. The notes soared through the air, sharp and painful and beautiful, like a wound healing in slow motion. When she finished, the whole crowd clapped. I took the mic again. I said, clear and loud, I want to thank everyone who supported Shelby after her instrument was destroyed by someone in this very neighborhood. It meant the world to us. It showed us who really cared about our kids. I didn't say Mr. Dwyer's name. I didn't have to. Every head turned toward him anyway. He stood there, red-faced, alone. People backing away from him like he smelled bad. It was the final nail. He left the party early, head down, not speaking to a soul. Word spread even faster after that. The HOA board pressured him to resign from his volunteer committees. He got warnings about his property violations. Parents refused to let their kids anywhere near his house. The city fined him for the environmental damage behind his shed. And Mia? Mia's family sold their house a few months later. Quietly. No goodbye parties. No send-offs. Just packed up and left. Shelby? Shelby got a scholarship from a local music foundation. Enough for a brand new violin. A real one. Better than the old one. She played it in her next concert, standing tall, a little scarred, but stronger than ever. And me? I sat in the audience, proud and angry all at once. Because I learned something too. I learned that real revenge isn't about screaming or fighting. It's about making sure the people who tried to break you see you standing taller than ever. And knowing they'll never be able to touch you again. Ever.